morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Media Pulse.
A weekly look at how the Thai media cover major events of the week. And of course, the past 2 weeks have been full of major events for the Thai media to digest.
Very eventful, especially at Parliament, at the courts.
Yeah. Have been 2 very chaotic weeks, starting with the decision of the Constitutional Court to disband the Move Forward Party and to ban its executive committee members from politics for 10 years. And a week later, the same court
Mr. Prime Minister,
okay.
dismissed Kun Srettha from his Prime Minister post. And then on Friday, a Parliament voted for a new Prime Minister.
Okay, first of all, let's see how the Thai media look at this situation, judging from the headlines. Yeah?
Okay, let's judge from the headline. Let's look at the first one. This one is from Thai Post. It says เดิมพันสุดท้ายชินวัตรดันองค์อิงขึ้นเป็นนายกคนที่ 31 ไม่หวั่นซ้ำรอยพ่อและอาปู So เดิมพัน is like a gamble.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And this is the last gamble.
I think this is quite a point that has been concurred by most media outlets that Thaksin is using his trump card, or what he believes to be his trump card, that is his daughter.
And without fearing that it could repeat the whole story that happened to himself and his sister.
That's it. Interestingly, Kun Paetongtarn, the Prime Minister-elect, has been asked these questions of quite a few times, whether or not, if she takes the reign of the government, she would end up facing the same fate as her father, Kun Thaksin, and her aunt, Kun Jinglak, faced. Both were toppled in military coup d'etats. Of course, she refused to be drawn into predicting whether or not she would meet the same fate or not.
Okay, we have another headline from Now. This one is based on an interview with Kun Top Walawut, and he says ทักษิณไม่ได้ครอบงำเข้าบ้านจันทร์สองล่าแค่ไปอัปเดตการเมือง So basically he says that Thaksin is not dominating politics, but the coalition just went to his house just to talk about politics, like just to an update.
But if you read all the reports about that meeting at Thaksin residence carefully, it's very clear that the media don't buy Kun Walawut's claim that there was nothing more than just a courtesy call, right?
No.
But in fact, the Thai media see the whole affair as an exercise of Kun Thaksin's influence over Thai politics this day. The fact that he was able to summon executive leaders and key figures of all the major parties to his residence in such a short notice, it only goes to show how influential he still is. Right?
It does imply a political meaning, basically. But anyhow, we have a designated prime minister now. And on Friday, after the parliament vote, Kun Paetongtarn posted a picture, a very interesting picture. Can you guess which one? I think you've seen it. Anyway, yeah, it was a picture of chicken rice.
Her first meal after being named prime minister by the House of Representatives, right?
Is that supposed to have any political connotation, or was just a simple meal? Maybe she speaks to, maybe this is why the Pheu Thai party wanted her to step up, because she speaks to a lot of people in the younger generation, because you know how they do food. The phone eats first. Have you heard this term?
Yeah. Before eating, you need to take picture of what you're going to eat.
This is young people. This is what young people do.
Right,
so maybe.
Of course, I think what is particularly interesting is how the Thai media see the sudden rise of Kun Paetongtarn through comments that they get from political analysts and critics. And I think one point that many critics seem to agree on is that Kun Thaksin is taking a great risk in having his daughter take up the country's top executive post at this very important political juncture. Some critics who are not very kind to Kun Thaksin see the decision by Kun Thaksin, and of course with the endorsement from his former wife Kun Patchimanon, as being very cruel. And they describe Thaksin and Kun Patchimanon as being cruel-hearted by pushing Paetongtarn into the limelight at this moment. They said, especially Kun Thaksin should know too well that what problems his daughter is going to face as prime minister in the current political environment, and not to mention the economic crisis the country is facing. And these critics recall that Paetongtarn's mother, Kun Patchimanon, initially had been very reluctant to allow her daughter to succeed Srettha to be seen as prime minister, out of fear that she would be exposed to all the cruelties in the political world. But in the end, she relented at the last minute.
So is it a risk worth taking?
But they see this as a calculated risk, believing that Paetongtarn will represent the party as a young leader and take charge into the next general elections.
Okay, but before we go to the next general election, in 3 years, there are so many pressing issues that she needs to face when she becomes prime minister. So digital wallet, land bridge, what else?
Of
Balancing the power within the party
That's
itself.
right.
Entertainment complex.
Yeah, that's right. The land bridge project, whether or not she will continue to sell the idea like her predecessor Kun Srettha did.
And digital wallet. She's sort of not confirming or indicating that they're going to go full scale with the original plan at this point.
And we were talking earlier about why Kun Paetongtarn is needed at this moment to lead the party and the government, talking about how the party is also having an eye on the next election, right? Because the other ministerial candidate could take the same, even though he has more experience and could be even more qualified than Paetongtarn to take the reign of the government. But he is seen by critics, not to be the right choice at this political juncture, because the party, they believe, need a more youthful leader and to attract young voters in the next general election. And that's why the timing is a crucial factor, that even though Paetongtarn may not be ready at this very moment, but the party, Thaksin anyway, especially, believes that if not now, when?
Yeah, ready or not, here's the opportunity. And of course, like you said, she's going to be competing with the opposition party, whose main supporter base are younger generations as well.
Yeah. Okay, but there are also very critical views of Kun Paetongtarn's rise to the top post. And this view came from one of the most outspoken critics of the Thaksin and the Shinawatra family critics. And that is none other than Kun Jatuporn Kongpan, right? He's a former leader of the racial movement, and is now considered to be one of the most outspoken critics of Thaksin and Thepchai party. Jatuporn, very interestingly, he's now a very popular guest at all the talk shows, interviews. And Kun Jatuporn was once Thaksin's, we can describe him back then as Kun Thaksin political henchman.
But he was heartbroken.
Yeah, but heartbroken, and now has turned his back on his former boss.
Yeah.
Jatuporn, the reason he turned his back on Thaksin because he believes that Thaksin has betrayed the red shirt movement, which the former prime minister treated only as a handy political tool. And Kun Jatuporn believes that as prime minister, Paetongtarn is very likely to trigger a new round of political conflicts. So what makes him think so? Because as someone who was once close to the Shinawatra family, Jatuporn said Paetongtarn has problems with her temperament.
Oh.
He said Paetongtarn is often quick on the trigger in her response to criticisms. And Jatuporn believed that things could get worse if her father, Hun Thaksin, tries to come to her defense.
Oh. Well, people from the coalition seems to be thinking the opposite because whether it's Kun Warawut, Kun Phumtham, Kun Anutin all came out and talk about this in the press. Like they all gave interviews, and one of the pressing issues that people ask is whether or not she's too young. And all of them just said age is not the matter, it's the experience. And the experience that they refer to basically is the experience that Kun Paetongtarn has been following her father footstep. And she's been following her father around, making speeches, visiting people on the outskirts of Bangkok, around the country. So that's what's called political experience. I'm not sure if that's...
No, but her critics insist that she has never really done any real executive work.
Yep.
I mean, she's 37 and she has spent most of her time running business, her family businesses, but not, of course, not very prominent role in all this management work. So the big question is whether or not when she is qualified, whether she has enough management experience to run the government.
To lead.
Yeah.
A lot of people said that it's not like she's going to be working all on her own. She'll have her ministers, advisors, and her father.
Of course. Okay, this is exactly how the Thai media see Kun Paetongtarn, that she will not be her own very much. She needs the help, advice from people around her a lot. And of course, she certainly needs a lot of help from her father. But coming back to what Kun Jatuporn Prompan said, I think it's very interesting because Kun Jatuporn still has questioned about unity among the political parties that make up the coalition government. He noted that the press conference they held on Thursday night to announce their support for Paetongtarn to become the next prime minister, said the press conference had the atmosphere of a funeral.
We do have, the footage of, it does look...
And this is what Kun Jatuporn said. He said, look at the expression on their faces. They didn't look happy. It was as if they were in a funeral. Each tried to force a smile, as if they were trying to hide something.
Apart from Kun Jatuporn, we also have comments from Kun Piyabut Sangkanokun, who talks about the current state of the politics here in Thailand.
Kun Piyabut Sangkanokun, who is the leader of the Progressive Movement, a splinter group of the now defunct Future Forward Party, he has been a very sharp critic of Thai politics. And he came up with this term, patrimonial state, to describe what the country is like now. A patrimonial state is a type of political system where the state is treated as a personal possession of the ruler or the ruling elite. Of course, I mean, in Thai context, he's certainly referring to the Shinawatra family, that Thaksin is trying to hand down the power that he once had to his daughter, and he's very close to succeeding in doing that.
Okay.
And in such a system, Kun Piyabut said that the ruler's authority is based more on personal loyalty and patronage rather than on formal institutions or legal frameworks. And in most cases, like what is happening in Thailand right now, power is passed on to family members.
Yes, it's true. I mean, this is the third from the Shinawatra family already.
Yeah. In plain language, Kun Piyabut is saying that Thai politics now has become a family affair. Yeah.
Okay, so the week before this, we also had a court case. So the court case that landed us here with the new prime minister, basically, But what went wrong with the former prime minister exactly? Because everyone thought that he's gonna be okay and got off it very
No,
easily.
the ruling certainly defied our predictions, because most of the political analysts believe that Kun Srettha would be let scot-free, right? Being absolved from all the charges of having breached professional ethics.
Yeah.
And the Thai media, have had a few days trying to dissect the language used in the ruling. And which particular parts of the ruling that certainly strike them. I think the most important thing is that the Thai media certainly, believe that to be very, very important is the fact that what Kun Srettha believes to be his strongest point of defense was shot down by the court. As we all know, that Kun Srettha is confident that his so-called closing statement to the court, which emphasizes that he came from business background, so he has a limited knowledge about legal affairs and political science. So he wasn't supposed to know that it wasn't right, to appoint Kun Pichit Chinban, who was convicted, sentenced to 6 months in jail for contempt of court. He wasn't aware that this would be something that would blow up in his face.
He wasn't aware that it was written in the constitution.
That's right.
It's like buying a new gadget without reading the manual
That's right.
and start using it.
That's right. But the court ruled that Kun Srettha cannot simply deny responsibility, because by saying that he's a businessman and knows little about politics and legal affairs. And the court used these phrases very often. He knew, and he should have, or she should have known, because what happened to Kun Pichit is a public record. And you don't need to be a legal expert or a seasoned politician to distinguish the good and the bad characters. So the court came to the conclusion that Kun Srettha cannot deny responsibility for the appointment of Kun Pichit, someone with a very open, tainted record, to be a member of the cabinet.
Kun Srettha seems fine though, because on yesterday, he was at Voice Space in support of Kun Paetongtarn as well. And then reporters went up to him and asked him how he feels. Like they were trying to get his feeling, and he basically says, today I'm just a normal citizen. That's all he says.
Okay, it's difficult to get him to say something these days now. Of course, he was visibly hurt by the court ruling, the language of the court ruling. And in his news conference right after the court ruling, he said he is willing to accept the ruling, but what hurt him the most is being branded as someone who doesn't have professional ethics.
What now? We have a new prime minister, which is waiting for royal ascension, waiting for a new cabinet. And what now? What now this month? This month has got another person who's got a good news waiting.
All right, Kun Thaksin will be a free man, a completely free man.
At the end of the month.
With being given the so-called certificate of innocence, meaning that he is now free from all legal entanglements that held him back for years, right? So this time around, so he's expected to play a more prominent role in politics, at least in helping his daughter, survive all these difficulties that she will be facing. And of course, what will be the main focus of the Thai media from this point on will be how Paetongtarn will manage to strike the balance among all these parties within the coalition government. Horse trading, the bargaining of the portfolios in the cabinet will be the first challenge she'll be facing. And let's see how she will handle this challenge.
Well, one thing I have a question, basically. Kun Anutin sort of insisted that he will not work with a prime minister candidate who supports the amendment of Article 112, basically. Now, Kun Thaksin, remember, he has a case,
Mm.
a 112 case actually, still waiting.
Yeah. Okay, that is
So
another
that is
interesting
quite
episode
doubtful.
that wait to happen. And but Kun Anutin can say anything about not wanting to associate with anyone advocating an amendment of Article 112, but Kun Thaksin must be an exception to him. I'm sure.
There'll be a lot more exceptions.
They
in
need
Thai
each other
politics. Yeah.
very badly.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so we'll bring you the latest with analysis and as well. We'll help you make sense of Thai politics every Saturday morning. The program's a bit short this week because we're out of time basically, but we will come back and see you next Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.